Hey y'all, welcome back to Modified. Appreciate y'all checking me out. I have a 2005 Suburban. If you're new to the channel, I've been doing this for about 2 years now. Got a whole bunch of playlists on everything I've done to this truck since I first got it about 2 years ago. So I installed an HD hood. Normally Suburbans just have that lower cut hood. I have put this new grille on, and this was a really dented Z71 painted bumper. So now that I have the HD hood, it's just manifested. I want the HD grille and the HD bumper. So I've purchased all these things, but instead of changing the bumper, I'm just gonna change the cover. So the difference in the cover is, you can see it dips down here to allow the lower grille. And I actually have to drop the metal bumper itself about, I don't know, 1.5 inches or so, 1.25 inches to get this down. It'll make the Suburban look lower and at the same time, put a bigger grille to go with the bigger hood. And to finish off the lowered look, I have this chin spoiler. So this is actually gonna go under the bumper and put a chin on it. And put an extra large spoiler, like Harry said, it cuts the wind out from underneath you. So let's go ahead and rip all this off, cut the mounts, drop the bumper, install the new cap and the chin, see if we can give the Suburban a completely new look without completely changing the whole truck. Here's a modified first time ever. Look, I'm wearing gloves. I did a Clarkson and I cut my thumb pretty bad on a potato slicer. So yeah, I'm trying to keep dirt out of it. Here's what I got going on. Here's the frame of the Suburban, and this giant block is what the bumper sits on. Well, I have to cut this off the frame here and under here. And essentially, just lower this whole block about 1.5 inches to where when I put my new bumper, got the bigger grille, comes with this chrome piece. And the bumper, you can see, is so the difference in what I'm doing here is I'm taking this gap and making it this high. So when it cuts down, instead of being flat, we'll give that whole Suburban a bigger face. Making it look lower and bolder. I mean, it's a Suburban. I don't know why they never put an HD front end, and it's a 3/4 ton, so I believe it deserves it. That's why I put the HD hood. So we're gonna go ahead and cut off the 2 frame mounts. Drop them down about 1.5 inches. I'm gonna measure these 2 bumpers and see. Everybody says it's about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches. I'm gonna get down to the exact number. Got my demo blade. I'm gonna see if I can come in and cut it smooth on either side of the frame. That way I don't have to mess with anything. This had an off-road bumper on it when I first got it. That's what this is here, still here from. So, see if I can get this off as clean as possible. Nothing like performing surgery with a Sawzall. You can actually get the Sawzall blade behind the piece that you're cutting off. It's only really tacked on the back side here and back here. Maybe y'all could see. But what's hindering me is this isn't supposed to be there. This was a piece for an off-road bumper that I had taken off and cut flat. So after I removed this bracket, I marked with the Sawzall blade a straight line to show me where I started from and how far down to drop everything. So let me get back to work on this. You know when you're all the way through, when you can see light, there you go, straight to the ground. All right, so once you run your Sawzall blades straight up through this side of the frame, and y'all won't have this, just kind of, I got a weld that runs across the bottom right there. this bracket pretty much just comes off. Here we go. That's it. So, like I said, I cut through all this weld here, and that little piece had me hung up where I couldn't break it right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass the grinder, get this nice and flat, get this piece out of my bracket, and I'll be able to drop it down that 1.5 inches or so on these lines I made. Mount the bumper and put it all back together. So to get this top bumper cap off to put the new one on, you come on the back side, and there's all these little squeeze tabs. You just kind of squeeze these little pliers, work your way down. I think I'm gonna leave these open on the other bumper. Then once you squeeze all these, the top cap will come off. Like I said, this was a white bumper at one point in its life. So I got my pair of these pliers that's kind of bent a little bit. You can get in there, really start taking stuff off. But I'll just use these to kind of squeeze and push through. It's going to be probably white on the underside. Just be careful with it. And that's it, the top cap comes off. So here's the $42 question. How much thicker is the HD bumper than the standard bumper? Right, so let's go ahead and measure these bumpers. I got my caliper here, got it zeroed out. So the center should be about the same. The center on the regular bumper, come down, 2.88. The center on the HD bumper is 2.8 also. So here's the $42 question. How much lower do I have to weld that bracket on to make this bumper fit like this bumper? So the answer to that is, this is still 2.8 across. So the difference is 4.8. I weld that bracket on 2 inches lower. This bumper fits like this bumper. Let's go ahead and give them a shot. All right, so I got my my bracket from a 4x4 bumper cut out. Everything's been cut off smooth, and I have plenty adjustment to go up. It was here. I need to come down 2 inches or so, and I'm not sure in the spacing back and forward, but that's what I'm doing one at a time. I'm gonna catch the measurement off of here and relay it to here, put the clamps on it, give it a tack weld, and I'll go from there. I'm gonna mount the bumper just to be sure I'm not messing up. You don't want to make it permanent until it needs to be. So I'm 1 3/8 inches off the radiator support. And I can come in here with these clamps, these welding clamps. It's right there. 1 3/8 at the top. And as far as how far down I went, I scribed some lines with the Sawzall on the frame to the bottom. It says I need to come down 2 inches. Well, I'm at 1 3/4 right now. So I'm gonna give it just a tack to keep it in place. I can always grind it off and move it again. So instead of going too much right off the bat, it might make the gap by the lights tighter. You won't need it filler so much. So, all right, so I just went and measured the RCSB truck, and right here where the fender meets the top of the bumper, there's like 1.5 inch gap. I want to tighten it up a little bit. So instead of dropping this down the full 2 inches that the bumper makes a difference on, if I want to clean everything up, I ought to drop it down probably 1 inch instead. So I'm going to tap it in until I get to 1 inch like the other side. That way my fender well gap front to back stays the same. So I'm 1 inch off of my radiator support like the other side is. And as far as height goes, I'm at 1 5/8. Close up that gap a little bit. 1.5 inches. And 1. Give it a little tack weld to hold it in place. Then we can cut the other side off, test fit the bumper. Famous last words, that ain't going nowhere. So 1 inch out, 1.5 inches down instead of 2. All right, now set it on kill. So it got decent little penetration, nice and cool. Good enough for a test fit. You gotta do that every time, just to make sure it don't go anywhere. Let's cut this side off. All right, so I went ahead and I wiped down the bumper and gave it a good coat of satin black to go underneath the cover. I know it's under the cover, but I have peace of mind knowing it's not going to rust under the cover. So, like it was before, all these little plastic clips, they're kind of flared on the backside. They just push through. And there is some spacers that go here and here, which are in the Trailblazer. You go get them, that way the heat won't warp the tops of the bumper. So these things keep the top from warping when the sun hits. They just kind of sit here. You can see it goes around. This foam stuff may interfere with how this bumper sits. I'm not sure. It looks like I'm gonna have to peel this foam off. Oh man, it's white. I didn't paint under this foam. Busted. Sorry, that's not really rusting under there. But now, yeah, that fits a lot tighter. This will sit over this gap, and as the bumper pushes through, it'll hold it in place. How it's angled, they sit in here just like this. And actually pop into the top. Ugh. That's how they sit. So then you flip it over, holds them in place. So I'll put these spacers in for anti-sag. When they sent me this thing, it was in a box and it was all folded in half on itself. And I was like, man, there's no way this thing was going to straighten out. But it did. I called the company and they're like, just put it in the sun. All right, put it in the sun. Worked out pretty good. This up here, I guess you have to stretch it over in the sun or something because this barely just wants to fit. Okay. It's on eBay. Stretch it over. Oh, these two are almost in. Sweet. That one's in. That one's in. All right. That one's in. Dude, this is tight. So tight. Ugh. Okay. Woo! My Suburban, there we go, happens to have the same fenders as this. So it'll kind of go. It's an LS trim, so that's what this is. Get it on the metal. Get this middle one to line up. That's in there. Right, after stretching the crap out of it and using the old hammer, you don't want to squish any of your pins. Man, this is a tight fit. It snaps on good. You just have to pull it and work it around. It's tough. And then I'm sure once it gets in the sun, it'll go and wrap in how it needs to. All right, double check, make sure they're all in. Here is the HD bumper out of the original stock with the Z71 valance, just because I like the round fog lights. The thing fits nice and tight. Look at that. Looks awesome on a Suburban. So, I'm going to go ahead and cut off that other bracket. I've already had that one tacked and dropped. I'm working all over the place, but I'm working. So let's try to get this HD front end put on before the sun goes down. So I got all my little squares cut out, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this up. I got me 2 holes drilled already for the center. I was keeping down the center line of the bumper, down the middle here, and I'm gonna work the ends last. I got some droop I can play with down there, but I'm gonna get this middle nice and tight and then work the ends later. So put it all back together. Oh man, that slipped in nice and that went far on there. All right, cool. Middle 3's done. Right on to the corner, same difference. I'm going to just mark where this notch is. So there's a notch here and here. And as it curves around, there's going to be one here and here that I have to cut. And right there and there. And the end's open. So being it's plastic and pliable, works out in my favor. And I'm going to cut them on a slight angle to give that tab an easy way to find home. Yep, it'll drill up from the bottom and zip that in too. So I'm gonna need 2 more zip ties. Very nice. Very, very nice. All right, y'all, that lower valance is on. I just have to trim the extra right there. It just doesn't line up with that for some reason. And I'm sure it's the same over here. This is off of a Tahoe. Yeah, same. And they cut that for whatever reason. I don't know, I guess to clear a tire or something. So I got this bumper used. So we're just working with it. So I'll make this kind of fit up here like this. I'll cut it Perhaps where it needs to be. Man, I really want to fill this little stupid triangle in with something. But, I don't know. I think I'll just come down here. Maybe cut the other side to match so it looks the same. Or cut it all. Yeah, I'll cut it all like that. That'll be alright. That's a good idea. Glad I thought of that. You're not going to be able to see it on camera, but I can see black Sharpie on black plastic because it kind of leaves like a iridescent kind of purple looking color. So this is what I cut off the other side. I can just mirror that. Something like that. The blade will straighten it out. I know that ain't straight. Once the plastic cools, you'll be able to just get the extra flake off with your fingers. Yeah. So this is what I cut off of one side, and that's what I cut off the other. It's like an 1/8 inch difference. I don't think you'll be able to tell from one side to the next. No sense in trying to make this look perfect because you couldn't see from one side to the other. That's it. Bumper's done. Got the HD bumper on the Suburban. Let's put it on the ground and take a gander. If people still do those things. That front balance, man. That's what does it. There's the full HD front end on the Suburban. Never seen an HD Suburban. It is an HD. It's an 8.1. It's 4x4. It's 2500. It's on 8-lug axles. 14 bolt in the rear. Now it has an LS Tahoe chin spoiler. It has a Z71 because I like the round fog lights. I guess bumper cover. And then the upper cover is for an HD Silverado with the HD hood. I couldn't be happier. Scraping the Coast coming up, y'all. Thank y'all for watching Modified. Like and subscribe. Check out the playlist. Check out my channel. Do your thing. Catch you next week. Later.